What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thank you for those of you who have followed us so far. This is a little over 7 weeks, but 7 episodes of something that started from scratch of us just kind of messing around. And, we've had some incredible guests on so far, and it ain't going to stop now. The topic of this show is the JUCO grind, okay? A lot of people don't know what kind of goes into the JUCO world. Everybody, when they think about basketball, they always go straight to NBA, D1, D2. They sometimes that level gets forgotten. And if you have not been a part of that, you don't know what it takes to be at that level, and it takes a different animal. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but we're going to bounce off some of our sponsors that we always like to shout out. Of course, here hosting with Shakalaka Bowls of Ocean Isle Beach.
We oversee home maintenance and repair, Ocean Isle Beach, and then social site marketing. Our wonderful producer Nolan behind the camera from Wilmington to Myrtle Beach. All of your social media marketing, digital marketing needs, he's got you covered.
Yeah, and look, like we said last week, if you want to be a part of this in any way, just message us out. We'd love to name our Mount Rushmore segments off of somebody. If you're interested in just being a part of this and helping us grow a little bit bigger, reach out to us and we'll tell you what it takes to make that happen for us, okay? Last week we talked to Coach Everett, who was the head girls basketball coach over at West Brunswick. A great episode, I thought. I listened to it basically the day after, and I thought Coach Everett did a good job. I thought we really, the whole goal of this, what we were talking about with Coach Shaw earlier, is just highlighting the sports programs around here, youth to whatever level that we can. And if you haven't got a chance to go listen to that episode, please go listen to Coach Everett. He's been around the block a time or two. He's got a lot of people that he know and has seen and met, and picking his brain about that was a pretty cool thing, don't you think? Yeah,
absolutely.
So as you see right here, I don't know if you guys have met him or not, or you've heard the name, the program, but now we get to put a face to that, and we got the head basketball coach at Brunswick Community College, Coach Walter Shaw. Man, can I shake your hand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy. We just want to thank you for being on, man. And again, I know a lot of you have in this area, of course, know BCC and what this community has done to help build up BCC and what it means to the culture of Brunswick, county, pretty much. We don't have a local YMCA here, and that's kind of Brunswick Community College has kind of been that for the kids to be able to go play basketball, for people to be able to work out and swim. Where I grew up, we had a YMCA that we could go hoop at, and BCC has kind of been that saving grace, I feel like, for Brunswick County of allowing kids to be able to get into a gym and not just playing over at Georgetown Park or something like that. So, we're going to get into that a little bit. The first thing we kind of want to talk about, though, is, you've been around so long and different places, and we just want to know, man, where tell us your backstory a little bit. Everybody knows you from BCC, but give us a little of your backstory.
Give us your all the way back. I'm sure you had some playing days back in the day. So give us
Where are you from?
I'm from Columbus County.
Okay.
Right next county over from a little town called Regalwood, North Carolina.
Yep.
It was a flashing light town then, but now the flashing light has become a stoplight. However, from there, I just went to college at UNCW. I knew I wanted to be a college coach or a high school coach at the time. My goal at the time was to come back and coach at my high school and just help my high school coach out. However,
was that South Columbus?
That
or?
was East Columbus.
East Columbus, okay.
East Columbus. However, from that point, once I went to college and wanted to start helping out with the college team there as a manager, the BCC program started.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first year of the BCC program, some of my high school teammates were in the first class, and BCC didn't have a facility.
Really?
And so, being the rookie manager at UNCW, what happened was I was charged with opening Trask Coliseum at UNCW to open to allow BCC to come.
Wow!
into the gym.
So they traveled all the way down to
Yeah.
Trask. That's crazy.
So there wasn't a collegiate court in Brunswick County.
What year was that when that first
That
started?
was 95, 96.
95, 96.
Who was the coach at UNCW?
Coach Jerry Wainwright.
Okay.
And so, and the coach at BCC was a guy named Gene Doan, who had been the head coach at South and had a lot of success. And then he was charged with starting the program at BCC. And so, it was a lot of local talent in the area at the time, and the county and the college wanted to try to take advantage of that talent, and they started the program. And so, being the rookie manager, you know, and knowing some of the guys in the area, you know, I just came to the gym and opened the trash and and hung out.
Yep.
And so after that year or so, Coach Doan didn't have an assistant, and you know, I was living in the dorm, and I was hanging out with my friends who happened to be on the team, and they wanted to come to UNCW and hang out all the time.
Yeah.
And so I, at the end of that year, you know, I approached Coach Wainwright about the possibility of me wanting to get into coaching, and he presented me with a couple opportunities, whether going on and helping with BCC, which he already had a relationship with Coach Doan, as he had a couple players from him from South Brunswick, and then or going over to Hoggard High School and helping the legendary Sheila Bowles.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the time, I decided to go ahead and see if Coach Doan had an opportunity, because I already could do that.
You'd been around the college
I've
program
been in the
too.
So, and Coach Doan would gladly welcome any help because he didn't have any. And so, you know, he being older at the time, he just kind of gave me the keys to the car.
Yeah.
You know, and allowed me to. At the time, we could coach in summer league, and so they had a summer league in Wilmington, and he just like, here's the balls and go. And so.
Who were some of the guys that you saw out there?
Back then, I mean, there was still a lot of college players playing in the
Yeah.
summer league. A lot of UNCW guys, a lot of guys who would come home from the summer.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, there's just so many guys.
I know you had a lot. We know one of our thing is some of the best basketballs come out of this area,
Yeah.
not just Brunswick County, but the Wilmington area. And there's so
Yeah.
many names that you can just pick out of a hat.
Yeah.
I know you've seen so many of those too
Yeah.
that have played in that summer league.
You know, so many of those guys were home from college at
Yep.
the time, and so I would see those guys, and and then after that window, I went from basically 4 years of helping Coach Doan, living out of a dorm room, or 3.5 years of doing that, and I would basically in charge of recruiting.
Yeah.
From 19 to 23.
That's that college grind.
We've
talked about that.
And I was breaking down film in the dorm room, and
That's wild.
UNCW would allow me to use their deck-to-deck VHS in their film room, and I still had all the resources of UNCW.
Yeah.
And they were very, very, they taught me UNCW coaches taught me how to recruit, gave me the recruiting list that guys they weren't using, introduced me to the people I needed to know.
So you were 19, 20 recruiting
Yeah,
16, 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah, so they told me the places I needed to go.
Yeah.
And then I would end up being shoulder to shoulder with them in
Yep.
those places.
Yeah.
And so that was fun, and people didn't realize I was as young as I was at the time. And so, and that was, sometimes I catch a ride with them.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was in the dorm and they were in their office, and we were going to the same place.
Yep.
Yeah.
And and at the time they had a star-studded staff. I mean, guys, you look at where they are now. I was a classmate of Billy Donlin, who is an associate head coach at Clemson, who was the point guard at UNC Wilmington at the time, who had been the head coach at Wright State, UMKC. I've been was on the team when I was a manager, and also in the program at the time was Mark Byington, who's the head coach at Vanderbilt, been the head coach at College of Charleston, JMU. Brad Brownell, the head coach at Clemson, was the assistant on staff at the time. Coach Jerry Wainwright was the head coach.
Yeah.
And numerous others, who were there at the same time. So we're, and we all stay connected.
Yeah.
So it's not, they don't treat me any different when I call them. They pick up the phone and we talk. And so.
Well, I think that's one of the things you picked up that we wanted to talk about. The reason why they started the BC program was because they wanted to get a hold of the talent here. And I think that's where you started at, was recruiting the talent here. But one thing that I've noticed, you guys y'all are national. I mean, some of the guys that, not just the state of North Carolina, the guys that you have brought in now, you guys are winning a lot consistently and at a very high level. When did that timeline change from recruiting, being the hometown JUCO program, recruiting some of the better kids in this area, but not being able to, cross that bridge of, I want to be elite? When did that happen?
Well, once we realized probably year 2 of the program, year 3, Coach Doan and me being, like I said, the lead recruiter, that basically we couldn't compete locally. We were recruiting local talent. We realized that we had to expand our horizons. In that, it was nice to recruit, locally, and then the local talent changed.
Yeah.
A lot of guys locally, the talent dwindled, and then the better talent wanted to go away.
Yeah.
So, regardless of what you wanted to present, our situation wasn't one that was attractive to them at the time. Not having a facility, playing our games at the high school, getting the high school on game day, practicing at the elementary school.
Yeah.
During the day. Every day, and on a good sunny day, having to practice at the park.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
crazy.
just want to follow up because I was at East Carolina in similar situation. You don't have the resources to attract guys. We had University of Houston in our conference, which facilities off the charts, and UConn was in our conference at that time. Just talk about how you have to recruit and how different it is trying to get guys, and you have to be so good in recruiting when you're up against it facilities wise and building that.
Well, what my philosophy was at the beginning was to look at my surroundings, figure out what they had and what we had, and then trying to be a difference maker. At the time, some had facilities, some did not. We were in the ones that did not. Some had scholarships, some did not, or some had partial scholarships. So we didn't have facilities or scholarships.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a hard sell.
Okay, that was a hard sell. Okay, but we had a small campus, great community, great location,
Yep.
caring faculty and staff, and I understood the rules of the game. And when I say the rules of the game were, if we could get our guys here, get them academically acclimated, get them tutored on the court, and get them marketed to the proper coaches to the next level, then coaches will find us, and then our guys will get the opportunity to go to the next level.
Yep.
And that wasn't happening across the state or in our region a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of where we played and what our circumstances were, my goal was to get our guys to the next level. And so put them in front of coaches as much as we can, regardless of what our situation was at home.
Sure.
We try to put them in a situation, in front of coaches, and that's kind of been our deal for years. And so what I did was, I used that was when the internet changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I developed a newsletter, and I went to ESPN, and I went alphabetically to every Division I school in the country, and I do this to this day. Now I can buy a list, but I don't have the money necessarily, so it becomes a summer project.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the email address of every college coach in the country.
Yep.
I send them an email bi-weekly with a newsletter list of what's going on in our program, with video highlights of our guys, an update of what we have going on. And I have a headshot of myself as my signature. So people have been knowing my face, necessarily not knowing my name, for over 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were a
Okay.
trendsetter in that
Yeah.
regard. Then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, because
So-
we still got newsletters from a lot of coaches. When I was at East Carolina, which was 2015, but you were one of the pioneers on that, the
So-
pioneer maybe on
So a lot of coaches have been saying, I've heard a coach say it to our team when they were recruiting last year, that Shaw was social media before social media. And so as a result of that, you can take a guy from a small town that nobody knows about and put him in front of a lot of people that everybody knows, that everybody can. And so when you don't have a gym, you don't have scholarships, but you can take a guy that nobody knows about and put him in front of a lot of people. And then people start finding that guy, and then and that guy starts playing well, and then you put, and then you go back and tell the world that he played well, and then another guy wants to come,
Yep.
and then another guy wants to come.
It takes one group
It takes
or
one group.
like one or two athletes to come through the program and hit it big
Yeah.
for it's like, okay,
Yeah.
he did it, I can
I
do
can
it.
do it too.
Yep.
Do you have any guys that really kind of, basically what I'm hearing you say is that by getting guys to the next level, and for the next level, probably whatever level is next for them, but, hopefully everybody wants to play high level D1. Were there any guys that really kind of set the tone for the program that you really look back and like, man, things changed once that class of guys came through?
Well, my first class as the head coach, we had a group of guys, 2,000.
Okay.
When they came out, the first guy out of that class played at Hampton University.
Yep.
And we had 3 guys go to Division I out of that group. But one guy went to Carolina in his first game, put 17 on Carolina and beat them.
Wow.
It's big.
Okay.
big
And that
for
was
the
when
program.
Carolina was going through that transition
Yeah.
with Matt Doherty.
Mm-hmm.
And his first game out of BCC, he never practiced in a college gym. Okay. He practiced at Bolivia Elementary
To go to the Dean Dome.
in Town Creek Park. And on game day, he played at South Brunswick High School. And certain days, we got ran out of, we had to start the game late because of wrestling practice.
Jeez.
And he walks out of that scenario, signs with Hampton University, and puts 17 on the Tar Heels, and wins.
That's insane.
Now, and we had a couple other guys who, in that class, one guy went to East Tennessee and helped them go to the NCAA tournament in that same
Yeah.
class. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you have another group, and another group,
Yep.
and another group. And if you walk in our locker room now, we have a picture of 174 guys
Yep.
on the wall in our
Mm-hmm.
locker room. So when a recruit walks in, who wants to be next?
Yep. Whose face is coming up on that wall next?
Yeah. And the last picture is who has next? I mean, who wants next?
Yeah.
I got next. You know.
Yeah.
Who got next? I got next.
Well, I know being around this area a little bit, and luckily having our tournament at BCC, and being able to watch you guys practice and talking to some of the guys that have played for you, playing with you. I remember one quote from a kid that said, Shaw is so good at getting you in front of the right people. He knows everybody. He's gonna put you in situations to be successful. At that point, it's up to you or him to make that the best of that opportunity. So at that point, you have done everything that you're like you said, your job is to get them academically eligible or acclimated, and getting them seen by the right people and played by that's exact. Of course, teaching them the game and how to play at that high level, but I feel like, as in your position at your job, that's one of the highest compliments. He gets me in front of the people that I'm supposed to be seen by. And I think that comes in high regards too. So that's pretty cool.
Fast forward to today, and now you have year in, year out, you're nationally competitive. So just has the goal changed at all? Is the goal still for you your primary vision to get guys to the next level?
That's primary objective on year 1. Primary objective in year 26.
Yep.
Primary objective when I took over as an assistant in year 1, and that started because my best friend from kindergarten was in that first class when I took over as an assistant, and when he wanted to move on to a 4-year school, and I was an assistant, he didn't have the grades. BCC didn't have the infrastructure, and they didn't know what was missing.
Yep.
I took his transcript to UNCW compliance, and they told me what was missing and why it was missing. And I promised myself that I would never let another kid go through that situation.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, I said, I knew he could play because he was better than me in high school. We've been together since kindergarten. I'm here because of him, because I was hanging out with my best friend since kindergarten.
Yeah.
We got his situation squared away, and if I can help somebody else along the way while I'm learning to coach and want to be a coach, then let's go.
That's why you're there. That's why we all got into coaching. Is to have that opportunity to affect somebody's life like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And that's such an underlooked part of collegiate coaching is the academic side of things. And you don't have the research. And look, we talked about this before. Everybody's seen a lot of people have seen Last Chance U, and kind of that picture of junior college football, junior college basketball, whatever it may be. And you were talking about it. Said you've seen it. What's accurate about that? What's inaccurate about the show? Do you feel like that's a good representation?
Well, we've taken that show, spun it, and made our own brand out of it. We call it Next Chance U. And if you've seen our social media brand, it's Next Chance U.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be your last chance. We provide you your next chance.
Yep.
And so some of that is accurate based on who you decide to put in your program. As far as where I learned to coach and who I learned to coach from, I'm relatively still young, but I got started young, so therefore I bring a lot of old school mentality to the game. So therefore, I don't put up with a lot. Therefore, if you don't put up with a lot and you don't allow a lot, those things don't enter into your program.
Yep.
Therefore, also, I'm not chasing the millions of dollars that some of these coaches are trying to chase in the program. I'm not willing to sacrifice, my career for some kid situation. I realize that there's not millions at the end of the tunnel coaching junior college.
Yeah.
And if I do get an opportunity to leave BCC, it's kind of like winning a lottery ticket. It's some pot at the end of the rainbow, and maybe a good friend gets a situation way down, at the end of my coaching career, and then I'll make a choice. Yeah. But that's not in the cards for me right now. And so it may never be, and that's okay. But some of those guys who are willing to sacrifice themselves, thinking bad character guys are going to give them wins, and that's going to get them opportunity.
That's all you saw in that Last Chance U. You know, the characters, the one who brought in ratings.
Well, it makes for good TV.
It makes for good TV. And that's but that was an entry into the world.
Do you think it brought light to you and helped the JUCO program, basketball in general, football in general? Do you think that having those shows has helped you at all?
Well, it did bring people to the world of junior college.
Yeah.
And that the challenges that we face.
Yep.
Because you do have low budget situations, you have first generation students who have challenges that a lot of people don't know exist. Mm-hmm. They're working their way through situations, having to navigate, processes, and sometimes the schools or circumstances aren't built for the process, don't have the processes in place to help the young person have to navigate.
Yeah.
And the person is just trying to get to the next day, and knowing that if they can just get to the next day, that the payoff is so big based on what the opportunities are available for these young men at the time now.
Well, I would say, you hear, and everybody listens to the games on ESPN, and, when they start going through where they've been in their past, and some of the best guys who have come through, and may not be the best basketball players, but just the dogs that have come through the JUCO program. Because, live until the next day, because a lot of kids can't, they can't handle those situations far from home, not getting the financial support, having to study on their own and go to class on their own. And if they don't, they're out, and some of them are D1 who couldn't handle it at that level. And hey, I got to go find my situation, and I got to learn how to be a man. And I feel like that's where, I feel like the JUCO program has really changed the game of just creating grown men playing basketball, because they've had to fight, and that it is not for the faint of heart, where you go through at that level.
The programs that are successful, you have to have, discipline, organization, because you're dealing with people who are going through those type challenges. And so, but you have to understand that. Yeah. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I've gotten actually came from our athletic director who gave me this about 15 years ago. Once they stop moving forward, then you have to figure out if you have to part ways with them or not. But if they're moving forward, you got to try to help them.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to move on for a second, because you were talking about it a little bit ago about, where you're at with this program now and some of the guys that you have. We're going to highlight a little bit so far. You got a fundraiser coming up that you definitely wanted to talk about. What you got with that?
Well, what people don't realize is we're one of the smaller, if not the smallest, community college in the state that's operating the sport of men's basketball.
Yeah. Wow, I did not know that.
No, I didn't.
And so you don't use state funds for athletics in community college. And so we're constantly fundraising, especially when you're talking about us recruiting regionally, us playing against schools that play nationally, us, until last week we were a nationally ranked program. We dropped out in this week, but we hopefully get back. We're playing all up and down the East Coast, and we're providing opportunities for our young men to get seen by college coaches all over the country. And as a result of that, those things cost.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Travel expenses, everything.
travel expenses. We were in Georgia last week. We'll be in Florida next week. We'll be in Maryland the next week.
Yeah.
Are you guys bus traveling those?
Yes, the college did do. The college upgraded our bus situation after our baseball team lost in the national championship game a couple of years ago. So our sports program is doing well in spite of the fact that we're a smaller school.
Yeah.
However, what people don't realize is once again, we have to fundraise an awful lot. And as a result of that, each sport is kind of responsible for their a huge portion of their expenses.
Yeah.
We only get pennies to the dollar in reference to what we need to operate.
Yeah.
So we have
Nothing's free. Nothing's free.
No. So we have a major fundraiser coming up. Many of you know the guy on this end of the county, know Joe and Mo Stanley.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They head up a fundraiser for us that they've been doing for the last 4 years. And they're about to start that for us to help us get through the remainder of the year and hopefully into next year. And so if you have a way of getting in contact with them, you can get in contact with them through Joe and Mo's Automotive, or contact me at the school, BCC, at 755-7327. They'll let you know how to get,
How they can help. Yeah.
how you can help. It's generated, basically, the funds that we need to operate our program for the last 4 years.
And you've talked about it, a little bit, and that was one of the topics that we forgot to bring up. And I know one part of it definitely affects you, and I'm curious how the other one does. But how the world have changed in college athletics with the NIL and the portal. You talk about money. How much is NIL in BCC basketball program? Is it something that's even?
It's not even talked about.
Yeah, that's what I figured. NIL in the JUCO level wouldn't, but the liaison to getting it to the next level. Are you a part of that?
Now, mind you, there are schools that we play against that offer NIL.
Wow.
Okay, we're still trying to make our budget even.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So there are schools, because of the size in which they have and the budgets that they operate on, are able to fully scholarship their programs, fully pay their budget, and then offer NIL to their
That's
players.
crazy.
And they're in this state.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because of our community being gracious to us through fundraising, we've been able to get closer to covering our budget. And we stop usually there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And then with some really good coaching,
Do
we're able
you
to
want
beat those
that?
guys.
Yeah.
Do you want that? Do you want your program to get to that point where you're able to, or would you rather not have the headache?
I really don't want the headache. I just want our budget good. I want our budget good, and I want to be able to, scholarship the necessary guys.
Would it help recruiting at all?
I think it would.
Yeah.
Especially to keep some of the better guys in North Carolina from going out of state.
Yeah.
Because that's usually where things are funded differently. Because if you're going to recruit, say you got a guy from Charlotte and he's getting recruited by a school in Florida. Well, Florida is funded by state funds. That's different than here in North Carolina. And you're just not going to win that battle.
Yeah.
But we may be able to, a guy who's not wanting to go far from home, we may be able to compete in that circumstance. But we're trying to win nationally. So if we're trying to win nationally, you want the best one that you can get.
Yep.
In
The
the
best
state.
of the best.
So NIL is because and this is the thing that kind of casual fans might not understand, but you're in conversation with high level coaches all the time. All the time. I mean, probably every day.
Every day.
When they're kind of getting to the stage when your guys are thinking about where they're going to go, and when coach calls you up, coach, what's he looking for NIL wise? Is that a conversation
That's a
that you have
conversation.
to field?
It's a conversation I have to feel because a lot of times in our guys' situations, you know, they're first generation college students. Some of them are single parent situations. I become the de facto parent, counselor,
Academic coordinator.
I'm already
the whole
the academic
nine.
counselor, all of that.
Yeah.
So then I'm become the most educated person in the room when it comes to circumstances like this. So then whether I'm looking over NIL contracts, inviting, getting them in contact with academic, financial advisors, or telling them who they can call to get accurate information, so on and so forth. So yes, to answer your question, we had a guy last year who was at the University of Miami. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the six figures. We had a guy.
Man, how the world has changed.
Yes. We have a guy now that's at University of North Texas.
Yeah.
He's close to
American.
he's close to six figures.
That's big for the American. That's a high level NIL spend.
Yeah, and so he's and then he had to navigate an agent trying to sneak in and want to try to still get some of that when the agent didn't necessarily have to be involved.
Right.
That was just a guy on the internet trying to sneak in on this,
And those are things that you have to
navigate.
You have to navigate.
And that guy just wanted him to sign something for 5% of his NIL and get him into a contract that he didn't even need to deal with.
And some kids would just do it without even hesitating if they didn't have the right people in their corner advocating for them.
My assistant coaches at East Carolina, for the most part, it varied, but they say 80% of coaching off the court with college athletics, and some would go as high as 90 as far as what you do off the court versus what you do on the court.
Oh, yes.
Would you agree with that?
For sure.
Yeah.
I heard that early on from the likes of a Dean Smith when I was early. You just want to get to the court.
Yeah,
I feel like that's at every level though too.
Yeah.
I mean, being at the high school level, I felt like 90% of my job had nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
That was the best part. That was I didn't have to think
I
that
love
much.
practice.
Yeah.
Practice was my favorite.
Yeah.
You had all your control, but the game's fun. But once the game's, you really don't have that much control over a game.
Well, and I think that's our biggest thing here, and I'll always reiterate back to Coach Tilley's episode where and it really made me think about it. The biggest thing is giving you a platform to not just sell yourself, but to let people understand, because you don't you get to talk about the game that you just had in the newspaper, good, bad. You always have to be perfect in the way you speak. Like this gives you a little bit of a platform to highlight not just your program but you as well. And you told us something prior that we didn't know. You were just selected to be a part from the NABC to do a coaches clinic, correct? You want to tell us a little bit about that, because that's huge, man.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Tell us who
and
wins,
you don't
Coach.
want it, as coaches, the last thing you ever want to do is pat yourself on the back. But one of my greatest mentors, he's like, man, everybody else is doing it. I'm going to build myself up, because if I don't, somebody else is going to. So give us a little bit about that.
Well, fortunately, a couple things. One, I've been coaching long enough now that I went over 500 wins last week.
That's awesome.
So
Congratulations, Coach.
That was cool. And also, a few years back, the school decided to bless me by I get to coach on the court with my name on it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
That's cool. And then I got news today from the NABC and the NJCAA that I'll be presenting next week with Coach Kelvin Sampson of
That's
Houston.
incredible. Yeah.
In a coaching forum next Thursday. So that will be news here soon. So that will be at a coaching.
What's the topic on that, Coach?
Culture and coaching. So we were waiting for Coach Sampson's calendar to get cleared.
And he usually waits till he usually lasts all the way to the end of the calendar year too.
And they usually pick. They're on episode 2.
Yeah.
So
where is this aired? Because I know to
it's
probably check out your social media, but where else is it going to be aired?
It's a free coaching clinic.
Okay.
And it's going to be on championship coaching clinics, which is coaching clinic, Nike coaching clinic platform
Yep.
that they normally have where coaches can go, and the NABC normally puts on, and this time they're having a university coach and a junior college coach.
Okay.
They're on section 2. The first one had Leonard Hamilton and a junior college coach from Illinois. This time they're having Kelvin Sampson and myself.
That's amazing, man. That's an incredible, honor to be able to speak with not only with the level of those guys, but being able to reach. And I think one of the things that, being able to mentor other coaches and young coaches and being able to put that face, I think that's a big deal, man. I think that's awesome.
What's so funny is both of us are UNC Pembroke graduates.
Really? So have you known him prior? I mean, other than the recruiting aspect of it.
He's called me a couple times in recruiting.
Yeah.
About 10 to 15 years ago. We talked face-to-face about 3 years ago. He remembered playing West Brunswick back in '78 when they had some guys named Bromell. He remembered playing against, in the late '70s. He gets my emails.
Yeah.
So
he knows your face.
He knows my face.
There you go.
And he says, "How's everything at the beach, Shaw?" And so he remembers that because he's from Pembroke area, and so that would be fun to catch up there. So, but yeah, and so that was and he gave me some sound advice about keeping my family close to me in the program.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
We're definitely going to have to check that out. I mean,
Yeah, for
WA
sure.
will down to show that, and we'll definitely share it with Charlotte Area Sports and part of our program. We're going to take a pause for just a minute from this part of the segment, and we're going to go into our Mount Rushmore, okay? If you've watched, and I think you have because you've reached out to him, one of our big things we're going into is our Mount Rushmore. This Mount Rushmore segment is sponsored by PlayStation, so we appreciate PlayStation, for sponsoring us for this one. But we are going to go into this week's, which is your best players, high school or, that's come out of the state of North Carolina, best basketball players that have come out of the state of North Carolina, all right?
Well, less high school basketball players.
Yes.
So
Not that they lived in Ohio, came to University of North Carolina, and left. Who grew up here? Okay.
top 4.
We're gonna do 2 minutes on the timer. We're gonna try. One of our feedback was to shorten it up, and this is a way that we found to be able. So we're gonna hit a timer. You're on the bottom of the screen over here. You're gonna see a 2-minute timer, and we're gonna try to go through this really quickly. Okay.
Okay.
You ready, Nolan? All right. So my first one that I got right now is gonna be, of course, the GOAT, Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Growing up Wilmington area, going to University of North Carolina. That's my number one. What you got?
Dominique Wilkins,
Okay. Where's he from?
Washington, North
The
Carolina.
ones at Little Washington.
Wilton,
The ones
Washington.
we talked about a little bit on last episode, but a
Pam
lot of
Pack,
people don't
baby.
know. Who you got, Coach?
Jordan.
Jordan, that's your number one,
yeah.
too.
You can repeat anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
You
don't- it
have
can
to-
be
it
whatever
doesn't
you
have to be
want.
But you probably go deep in the Rolodex on this one.
So my number two, who is more of, I like being able to say that I've seen him. I never got to see Jordan play, but Stephen Curry. If he's now is considered everybody now argument is one of the best ever, especially the best point guard ever. Stephen Curry out of Charlotte. That's my number two.
Based on the impact of the game.
Yep.
You have to go there.
Yep.
You have to go there. And based on how Jordan impacted the game, you have to go there as well.
Yeah. All right, so it's Steph Curry for you too, Coach.
Steph Curry is there too.
All right, who you got?
My number 2, Wake Forest guy growing up, so Chris Paul.
Yeah, West Forsyth.
Yeah.
Watching him play and seeing what he did, after his father died with that game, like that's everybody's seen the documentary on it, but being
I
able
was
to
like
be
10
around
at
that area.
time, so that was like the
I grew
coolest
up in
thing
that
ever,
area.
yeah.
It was amazing, man. He is, and you talk about for a while he was going down. And he still will go down as one of the best point guards to ever play the game. You know, my number 3, and again, I wish it was somebody that I thought about going Vince Carter route, but he grew up, or he was born in Ohio. He kind of grew up in North Carolina, Virginia, so he wasn't here all the time. So I'm not going to say him, but I think mine was going to be James Worthy. That's my next
I
one.
was going the same one.
Yeah, Gastonia.
Big game James.
Gastonia.
I was going
You
big
going
game
James Worthy on your next one?
I was going big game James. I didn't think you was going to pull that one out.
Yeah.
But I was going there.
Okay. Well, they're
I didn't think
the best
you
of
knew
the
that
best,
one. I
though.
didn't know you
Yeah.
were going there. I didn't think
So-
you knew that one. Okay.
Pull out of my
What was
knowledge
it?
a little
All right,
bit.
so,
okay.
so we don't have too many repeats here. I'll go David Thompson.
That was going to be my name.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, you know the best of the best. That's what it
Yeah.
is, man.
Okay.
So we're on number 4 for everybody now. AT. Number
So
4.
mine is one of my best friends. I'm hoping to get him on the podcast at some point. He is a born and bred Kinston boy. And you could throw a hat and see some great players, but the greatest one to ever come out, Jerry Stackhouse. I think what he did. He's been incredible, and he started Kinston, which is known as the best basketball town in all of America. I think that's got to be one up there. What you thinking?
Oh man,
We prepared, man. You didn't know until the
Yeah.
beginning of the show, so it's been hard.
Cause you got a lot there in Kinston. You can go back to Cornbread Maxwell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Even newer, and they're not at that level, but the Reggie Bullocks and the Brandon Ingrams and
yeah,
stuff.
or you
but-
can go to Bam Adebayo's even
Yep.
in the current world.
God, I
Wesley
didn't
and High
even
Point,
think
yeah.
about
That's
Bam.
a great
but
one.
he's from he's from Washington too.
Yeah.
Northside Jacksonville to start out, yeah.
And Northside Pine Town.
Yeah, you're right.
Wrong
You're right.
north
Yeah,
side.
you're up.
Yeah.
Wrong north side. Thank you, coach.
But obviously I was gonna go David Thompson, and James Worthy. So that was my 3-4.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's fine.
that was my 3-4 with James and Mike. So
I'll round it out. Pistol Pete Maravich, number 4 for me. Broughton.
Ended up there. Of course, grew up
Yeah.
Louisiana,
Yeah.
but ended at Raleigh and
My
Broughton.
dad's a Broughton. He played at Broughton before we
Yeah.
played at Wake, so big Pistol
Yeah.
Pete guy.
We definitely
Did we
went over
make
the
it?
2-minute timer, didn't we? Well, next time I gotta keep an eye on you to cut it. But
What?
that was fun.
What were we?
Like 3-4 minutes.
wow,
Oh
took
wow,
that long.
Yeah.
that's
I didn't feel
that's
like
longer
that
than I thought.
Wow.
Well, so let's my next topic was going to be the NIL portal stuff, but we've already kind of been into that. You brought it up at the very beginning, and this is going to kind of where we end. If you haven't, and if you ever did, have you ever thought or wanted to get away from the JUCO level and either go higher or go to the high school level? Because you said you wanted to, and you ended up choosing going to the JUCO level. If you got the opportunity, do you think that's something that you would take?
I had been presented a couple times at the 4-year level, but every time I got presented, something changed at BCC that made it so much better.
Yeah.
Like there was a time where I got presented, and then our facility was about to come,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want anyone else to be the first one to coach in that gym, even though I
Yeah.
love my associate head coach and he's been with me the whole time. I got to be the one because I got to design.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. You built it.
Yeah, I got to design it. So
Yeah.
I was like, no, and it wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? It was a comparable situation.
And you have family, man.
Yeah.
There's so many variables that go into
Yeah.
making a big move and change. And again, people think that job security, there's no job security.
Right, and that's the other thing is, and to further answer your question, about 2015, 16, I got offered another situation. After coming off a championship and having some really good players, because usually people come after you when you got some good players.
Sure.
in the
Yeah, of course.
championship.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm gonna see where this thing goes, and actually my dad had gotten sick, and I didn't want to leave the area with him. He had a stroke and he, ended up passing away, and I was like, nah, I'm good, but that was the other time, and the other part of it is, it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a lifestyle change. I do have a family. I want them to see it, my kids to see it through here. And I keep getting these calls from coaches that are rich.
Yeah.
I always joke and say they're rich at these places. And when things go wrong, they call me like I have the answers.
Yeah.
So I get a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
I get a cheat sheet for people on the way up, and I get a cheat sheet for people on the way down.
Yeah.
And because, when coaches come in and recruit our players, I try to make a point to get to know them as people.
Sure.
And, I try to learn from them, what's different at that level, what's new, I try to basically get a coaching clinic from them. All them coming in here to try to get information from me, I'm trying to get information from them.
Are most guys pretty good about, not big time you when they come in?
Yeah. Because they want what we have.
Exactly.
And so I'm not going to let that just be a relational situation.
Yep.
Or transactional situation.
Transactional, yeah.
Transactional situation, for example. You're gonna have to share some information to get, to get what we have here.
Yeah.
And then try to develop a relationship, and then we see where it goes. Because usually I'm in the middle of the recruitment, the
Yep.
guys that we have, and so, but then you know, so I get to learn about them. They have to sell their program. They have to sell who they are. And then on the flip side of it, you know, they're one twisted ankle away from losing their situation. I
Yeah.
mean, my last 3 guys I've had as assistant coaches were let go from universities and, you know, came here and then recycled, you know,
Yeah.
ended up back at universities. Or actually 2 of them are now back at universities, and one of them, you know, just came in from a university.
That's got to be so hard to build relationships with the players and coaches, that, you know, because that it is a recycled world where, you know, a lot of them are dropped and they go back up, or everybody's goal is to get back up to where they were. That, you know, it takes a different individual and a different program, and you're talking about culture as one of your things. That's got to be a hard thing to build relationships with those
Well,
guys.
I mean, the thing is, people are people.
Yeah.
And regardless of where they are, they're still the same person. You know, some people change because of circumstance, but, you know, once you get to know them, I mean, you would hope they still pick up your phone call regardless of where
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
I mean, because just because, you know, their circumstances change, they're still, you know, you would hope it's the same person. I mean,
Yeah.
my kids joke with me all the time that Daddy has all these people number on their phone. I said, yeah, but I knew them before they were rich.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes they won't pick up your phone call.
Yeah,
Sometimes-
unfortunately, that's the world we live in. But, you know, if they're good people and good
Yeah.
human beings, and you want them to be in those situations, hopefully they never do change in
Yeah,
that name.
you know what I'm saying? But we all know that, you know, the coaching world is one where most people don't stay very long.
Yep.
And the unfortunate reality is assistants aren't stable.
Yep.
You know, the head coaches get these massive contracts. The head coaches get these buyouts. The head
Yeah.
coaches can get fired and still get paid
Yep.
for a few more years.
Not an assistant
The
coach.
assistant coach, you know, when the head coach gets fired, he's gone by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And-
so,
There might not be another avenue as an assistant.
Yeah.
either.
And then
Yeah,
the
you're
next
right.
guy coming in, and, you know, he's going to want guys that he knows and trusts. And
You
Right.
might keep one from the old staff,
Right.
and it's usually the ops guy that gets to
Right.
stay.
right. And so therefore, you know, that's where I end up getting a call from a guy saying, hey, can you help me? Because usually I'm the hub in the middle of the wheel.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, like I'm the stabling voice, or have you heard anything?
yeah,
Because I've been around and I know a few people.
yeah,
You know, do you know what the next move is going to be? You know, because I'm either trace different things because of my guys recruiting, updated my email newsletter so I know where guys are going.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Or somebody called me, said, I'm going to make this next move. What players do you have available?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's usually the other call I get.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make this next move. It hasn't been announced yet. Do you have these 3 players available?
Yeah, they're prepping for that next move.
Prepping for the next move.
Well, you know, and I think one of the biggest things that we've been able to get out of this is a lot of the people that we've had on have been people who have been around and know the game in and out, and know the coaching world in and out, and what it takes to be successful at whatever level they're at. You know, things have gone right, and you've learned from, you know, I've always heard or said that when I'm done learning, it's time for me to hang it up, kind of thing. What is your one advice that you could give to young coaches who may be watching this, you know, that to help them be not only successful winning on the court, but just, you know, building a program and that culture that you've talked about, handling family, handling the kids, handling the 90% that isn't actually coaching on the court? Like, what would your advice be?
There are 2 things. One, really understand what your administration wants from you.
Okay.
Good one.
Okay? People go into situations not understanding what the administration really wants from them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in our situation, I tried to build our program on solid foundation. When I said academics first,
Mm-hmm.
I think that translates to any administration.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, I can brag about guys transferring and guys being successful at the next level, and our graduation rate to any boardroom, any president, regardless of circumstance, and any year.
Yep.
Okay, but I understood that was going to sell ourselves regardless of who the administration was.
Yeah.
Sometimes coaches go in thinking the job is to get 25, 30 wins a year, and the administration can care less.
That is great advice, especially that I'd say that's more geared toward college, but that's excellent advice because you're right. I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying? But it could be that way in high school too.
You're right.
Sometimes
Teaching comes first. When
Yeah.
and the first thing in an interview at a high school level, first thing is they don't talk about basketball most of the time or the sport. Most of the time is, you know, take me through a day in your classroom. You know, that's I mean, it's what admin wants. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, And then they want you to, make sure you run a clean program and things of that nature. But, so, to further to answer your question, the other piece of advice would be, just try to stay sane in the current landscape of the situation. I mean,
Yeah.
you have social media and all that other stuff that can run you crazy. You got parents out there who think they know everything.
Yeah.
Stay connected.
Yeah.
And what I mean stay connected is be as transparent as you can be. Be as open as you can be,
Honest.
and be as honest as you can be, and use a lot of old school methods. Like, this may sound crazy in college. We have a parent meeting. Like, at the beginning of the year, we bring all of our parents in, and we go through the rules from A to Z.
Yep.
This is how it's going to be.
No excuses.
No excuses. Okay? And so, we have, just like, almost like travel ball, where we have a group meet or a group chat, and we're going to deliver messages. Boom.
Yep.
Even at, even down to when we have study hall, our guys come in and they put their phones on the table in front.
Yeah.
And I go sit in the back and I watch every computer screen.
Yep.
And
Even in college.
I feel like coming off of that is, being true to yourself. Because, guys at that level, or most levels, guys can see through if you're being fake. If you're not being authentic to who you are and trying to be somebody else or
Your
what
style.
being authentic and being true and kids and because they are still kids, but at your level, some of them are grown men. Like, they're gonna see through if you're not being who they think you really are.
I gotta give coaches props too. I was at your son's middle school game today. This was Wednesday for those watching at a later point in time. I saw you sitting up in the top of the bleachers. Coach wanting, that coach should have been doing this. Obviously, the game of basketball. You know it like the back of your hand. You're just chilling there watching your kid play.
Well, yeah.
I had
agree,
I had a
100%.
rec league coach come to our gym the other day, and my son was in there shooting in practice, and he was like, "I didn't realize you were a coach," because he coached my son in rec league 4 years ago. I'm not going to be that parent. You know what I'm saying? But we'll talk about what it takes for him to get better, but it's not. But I see
It's not time to do it in the middle of a game, yelling at him,
Yeah.
"Hey, don't take that shot," or doing this.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
not-
stand
Anybody or most coaches that have been on the recipient
They know
side of
how
the
to be
parent,
like
it's
that.
like, man, just
enjoy
let
it.
the kid enjoy playing the
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's like I said, try to stay connected, but stay, be direct, be honest, but be you.
Yep.
And just make sure everybody's on one page. Because that's helpful.
Yep.
But also understand that everybody has a job to do.
Yep.
And that makes it tough too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so,
Yeah, and you're a competitive guy. You want to
Yeah.
win, and so you're going to do the things that you need to do to win. Yeah.
Fight for your. And the other side of it, fight for your program.
Yep.
Like you said earlier, if you don't speak up, somebody else is going to speak up for you.
Yep.
And what their message is not going to be what you want it to be
Exactly.
sometimes. And that's where things can get crazy.
And then
And that's a lesson I learned later in coaching.
yeah.
Because I used to not be on social media. I used to walk into meetings and get blindsided because I couldn't believe what somebody was saying about what was going on,
Yeah.
about what I thought was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how did they get that out of that?
Yeah.
But then I realized I should have spoke up and interpreted this
Yep.
a little different myself.
And hopefully that hits somebody that it doesn't, hit them later in their coaching career, and it's something that everybody's going to go through those ups and downs and turbulences in their careers, and they just got to learn from it.
And the other thing I would give a young coach is, you speak English, I speak English. Don't be afraid to walk up and speak to somebody.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's big, especially for the younger coaches
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's
Younger
generation.
Nobody's too big.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody's too big.
Yeah.
A coach is a coach.
Yep.
Yeah. And most coaches are willing to talk too. There's not many coaches that can be like, this guy. Most coaches are they got time. They'll chat up with you
Well,
answer
it's
questions.
we've said it till we're blue in the face on this podcast. When you talk to a guy that really knows the game of the basketball, it's a whole different language. Like it truly is a different language when you can have that basketball conversation and being able to talk the ins and outs and the X's and O's of stuff. It's fun, and I think I picked your brain talking about the flex offense, of what you guys run, and it's pretty cool to see that, And,
I mean, if you would have told me when I started coaching, Tubby Smith was winning the national championship at Kentucky. 4 years ago, I took a picture with Tubby Smith on a court with my name on it. I was 20 years old.
yeah,
This doesn't make sense.
yeah, it's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, that doesn't make sense. And I never left Brunswick County. I have the same phone number, same email address.
Yeah,
Okay, and my address is the same.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense.
If you do the right things, you can be successful where you're at. It doesn't
Yeah.
take all that, moving around and being, this or that. You stay true to yourself, stay true to your program. You can run a good program.
But I mean, it's also at one point in time, how you doing, Coach Smith? I'm Walter Shaw from Brother Community College in
Yep.
Bolivia, North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah,
Really? And then he said back to me, I started coaching high school in Hope County.
yeah,
And then he said, Dan McGugan, who used to coach, Dan McGugan, who lives down there, was my assistant coach.
yeah.
Yep.
Talked to him the other night at West.
And at the time, Dan was coaching at West.
Yeah,
And I never put two and two together that Dan
Yeah.
McGugan, who was coaching at West at the time, would have happened to be in the wedding of Tubby Smith.
yeah,
Connect dots.
yeah.
yeah.
There's
Next thing you
ties
know-
everywhere in the coaching world.
Yeah.
man.
You know
Always
what I'm
that
saying?
third degree
You know what I'm
connection,
saying?
yeah.
And then next
Yeah.
thing you know, I have a connection with Coach Smith. Every time I see him, he wants to talk to me. He introduced me to his wife.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go to Final Four, we talk.
Yeah.
He always asks me about Danny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
never know. And
What you might have in common.
you never know. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
And all it does is, like you said, you talk.
yeah, and the
reach
only
out.
thing I did was introduce myself.
Yeah,
And I'm Walter Shaw from Brunswick Community College in Bolivia. And then the first thing out of his mouth was, I get your emails.
yeah,
There you go.
He never responded, but he got my email.
yeah, yeah. You never know. You never know.
Let's put a bow on this thing, Coach. How can the community help Brunswick Community College basketball? How can we help? How the community show greater surrounding Brunswick County?
Thank you.
What can we do?
Well, thank you. One, I know there are more basketball fans in Brunswick County than it comes to our game.
Yeah,
Okay? What people don't realize is every night that we play basketball at Brunswick Community College, there are at least 15 to 20 Division I caliber athletes on the floor.
Yep.
Okay? So I know people will drive to Wilmington to watch a game at UNCW. I know people will drive to Coastal to watch a game. Okay?
I mean, they pack the houses at the West and South
And they
games.
pack the house at West and South. Okay? We have one county, one college, and we are your team.
Yep.
Okay? And we would love for you to get to know us. We would love to get to know you. We would love for you to be a part of our program, both as fans, as help us with our fundraising. We can come out and volunteer for you. We go out into the local schools. We do a lot of, we did a trash pickup last week. We do a lot of different things. And we would just want any support that we can get. We have a major holiday classic coming up this weekend. The tickets are $10 a day. They're relatively cheap. Game we play at 3 o'clock on both Saturday and Sunday. We have a team coming in from Pennsylvania on Saturday and a team from Chattanooga, Tennessee on Sunday. There is a game at 1 o'clock prior to our game on both days. So you can get 2 games for $10 each day. And I would like for you to come out and see the quality of competition. And most people who come out and watch us play aren't disappointed and always say, I never knew it was like this.
Yep.
I never knew you were this good. I never knew the players were this good. I want to come back. And so we would love for the fans in Brunswick County that love basketball to just come out one time and then watch it, and I'm pretty sure you would want to come back again.
Yeah.
Great family event.
Yeah.
Great family.
And if you haven't seen the facility, it is a top-notch facility, especially at the community college level. I mean, to go to any level, it is a very nice facility.
It is.
I think you would enjoy it, man. But Coach, man, I really appreciate you taking out your time because I know you're busy, man, in the middle of the
Coach,
season.
Thank you, sir.
We really thank you for coming out, and thank you guys for watching. We want to go over some of our sponsors.
Next week.
Oh yeah, next week. We got the head wrestling coach Wes Whitman coming out. We're gonna film on Wednesday. Probably comes out Saturday midday afternoon. So just keep a lookout. If you have not subscribed to us on YouTube, it's the Former Coaches Corner. Please subscribe, and just keep a lookout. Coach is gonna post a little clip of this on the Charlotte area sports, and Coach Myatt does a great job of covering all of Brunswick County, the Charlotte area kind of stuff. So keep an eye out, follow them. We got social site marketing all the way from Wilmington to Myrtle Beach. And as always, your local acai shop at Shakalaka Bowls, man. We just want to thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.